How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Pete's Carport. And if you've been tuning in the last couple of weeks, you'll know that I've been working diligently on my 1963 Austin Healey Sprite that is right behind me. Now, this car has a 1098 motor that we've done a ton of mods to, and then unfortunately, it got real hot out a few summers ago. I let it sit, and now I went to start it back up and we ran into some issues. So on the last couple of episodes, we got the car running and driving, and now it's time to fix the things that are wrong with it. Some of the things that need to be done from the beginning to make this car more roadworthy. And I need to rewire the entire car. So that is the main focus on this video. We also have to do the rear brake, so I'm gonna do that as well. So we've got to change out the cylinders back there. But the main focus right now is gonna be on this complete disaster of a wiring harness. So since we're not keeping this car stock by any means, I decided not to go and spend all the money on a Austin Healey wiring harness. Instead, I bought a universal wiring kit, and we're gonna try to wire this thing up with a nice fuse box, relays, and all that type of stuff. And I've never done this before, but this is probably one of the more simplest cars you could ever wire up, and I'm pretty excited about learning it. I got a buddy who's gonna help me if I run into any issues. So I already know it's pretty basic. I've done some of the wiring on this in the past, and we're not really going to dive into the headlights on this video, but that is something we're going to definitely wire up. Blinkers, all that type of stuff, the windshield wipers. I think right now what we're going to do is get a new ignition put in. I bought a new key set, and see if we can get this thing starting from the inside of the car instead of me having to dive into the engine bay here. Because if I take this thing out on the road for even a quick spin and something happens, I need to be able to shut down that fuel pump and the ignition and all that stuff. So let's kind of dive right in. I'm gonna rip out all this junk that's in here because this thing is just a disaster. It's a hazard. And I wanna enjoy this without worrying about a fire. So let's jump in and see what we can get done today. All right, guys, I'm about to show you a disaster of wires, and the reason why I cut off almost all power to all the electronics on this car years ago when I was just trying to get this thing running and driving around. And if you notice, I was starting the car from underneath the hood every single time, and that's because I have everything disconnected, ignition, main power wires, all that stuff. And the reason is I attempted to get some of this stuff sorted out, and I thought maybe I can just make it work temporarily. And the deeper I dug, the more dangerous the situation got. There were so many live wires just dangling, hanging underneath the hood. As you guys saw, all that wires that I pulled through here, a lot of this stuff was live when it was hooked up. So I went ahead and disconnected all that stuff the whole time I've been trying to get this car running, and it's been driving me nuts not being able to use anything inside the car here. I want to be able to turn the key, be able to have a switch going to the fuel pump, all that stuff just for safety and just so I can start driving this car in the near future and enjoying it. Now, I thought I would easily be able to save these tail lights and just use all the wiring for it. And of course, once you start diving into this type of wiring, you realize almost everything is bad. So I was even looking at the plug to the rear brake lights and the rear wires here, and I thought these were all good. but obviously somebody tackled into this and they're all cut and crimped. I don't know what's going on. So we're gonna eliminate all that. I'm gonna run all new wires to everything just for safety. In case I sell this car in the future, I know I'll feel good about whoever gets it and they're gonna be safe. So let's just start ripping all this stuff out. I'm starting from scratch. I'm not even gonna attempt to figure out what's going on here, and it's gonna be a good thing for this car. So let's get going. All right, guys, I went ahead and laid out all the wires. I picked up a bunch of connectors, and I've got a game plan. So this is pretty simplistic. We need to go ahead and set up our ignition, which I have a key here. I decided I'm gonna keep the pull start, even though this ignition here, it's not a stock ignition, obviously. It does come with a turn start, so I'm not gonna run it that way. So what we're gonna need to do is hook up the accessories, the main power, a power from the battery, and then we just need to run these wires here, which they have bundled up all together. Most go to the key, one goes to the battery, and then we're gonna have to run our fuel pump and coil, and I think that's gonna be it that we have to run right now. The rest of the stuff is pretty much accessory type stuff, and we'll do that either on the next video or I'll do it off film completely, because I don't know what's gonna be with the headlights and tail lights once I start getting in there and get involved with some of the wiring that's already there. So I'm probably just gonna rip all that out and put new wiring in, but today we're gonna focus on getting this car started from the inside. So let's get going. Okay, I think I've got everything wired correctly now. I did a test and I had the main power and the key ignition reversed so that my fuel pump wasn't coming on until I cranked the actual motor. So I reversed those two now. Let's go ahead and put our ground on. We got our nice new ground wire, nice new positive wires. I've also got this ground release, which is nice for when storing the car. Go ahead and clamp that down. Thing looks good right now. I'm going to turn the key to the start position. Fuel pump comes on. Let's go ahead and try to start it. Oh. Well, guys, it's a few days later and we've had a series of terrible weather that's probably going to continue again today. But I wanted to wrap this video up because I accomplished everything that I really wanted to get done, except for really wrapping a lot of these wires up. And I realized I've got to wait till I run the headlights and everything else, so I don't have to unwrap it and then rewrap it. But I'm very, very excited with the progress that I have. We can now start the car from the inside, which I'll show you guys here in a second. And everything seems to be coming together very well. I've even got our brake light all wired up here, and that leads me to the reason why I'm gonna wrap this video up. I started to try to get the brakes to work and get the brake lights to work. Original goal was just to replace the cylinder on this side, but came to find out there was a lot more wrong with these brakes, and the adjuster was frozen up. So I was able to free this one up, and the other side was the same way too. So I decided to order in an entire set. So I've got brand new shoes, two brand new cylinders. I've replaced the lines that were broken. So I think we're gonna be able to get this running very, very soon. And that will allow me to play around with the brake lights and get those working too, because we need pressure in the system in order to test those. So I'm gonna call it quits on this video, but I'll start it up for you guys, and then I'll start tackling those brakes off camera. And then on the next video, you guys will get to see all this all tidied up, all the wires wrapped up nicely, and take this thing for a proper drive. So I'm excited about that. So let's go ahead and start her up from the inside so you guys can see what we've accomplished. And let's go ahead and check that out, because I went ahead and wired up the fuel pump here, which is real nice. So if you flip that down, the fuel pump turns off, and it's all keyed up here. So you turn the key here, you have that up, you hear the fuel pump come on, flip that down, fuel pump's off. So you can use the accessories and stuff like that with the fuel pump off. Like I said, I decided to keep it on the pull starter here, so that is all connected, and I'm gonna be able to tap that in right here. And then we'll go ahead, I'm gonna go ahead and tap in choke up here, which I have to order in, so that'll probably be installed off camera as well. And then we'll start tackling the gauges after that and cleaning this thing up, and just keep doing the regular maintenance and some of the things that I've been wanting to do on this. So I'm excited about getting this car on the road, really for the first time since I've had it, because when I got it, it did run and drive, but it needed a ton of work. So this is really exciting moving forward. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get her started up so you can see she starts from the inside, and one last startup and rev from her. Now she starts and turns off from the inside, which is a huge thing, because now I can safely take her out and not have to worry about trying to get her to turn off or having something go wrong with the engine bay, maybe a fire or something. So it's a lot safer having it this way, and I'm excited about taking this thing out. You guys have an awesome day, a blessed week, and I'll catch you on the next video.